Welcome back to another video of the Student Nurse channel. For today we're going to be talking about 5 tips I recommend before starting your nursing course. So tip number 1 I recommend is getting a bit of an insight as well as experience within the nursing career itself. This could be whether applying as a healthcare assistant within an acute hospital or a community. It'll still give you that insight of what this career will lead you to. You may not be able to do as much as you can as a healthcare assistant nursing wise, but you are able to understand the fundamentals of what nursing is. Being able to do so, it'll improve your clinical skills if you've never experienced any healthcare job before, as well as your bedside manners. From my experience, I've always seen being a healthcare assistant to grow my bedside manners on how to handle a patient, as well as talk to the patient and just communicate with them, as well as build a rapport. So this type of skills and experience that you learn as a healthcare assistant, this is something that you can apply to once you do your nursing career itself. So that's tip number 1, is get a bit of experience and insight, because you don't want to be going to university and realizing this is not a course for you, spending a lot of money on that tuition, and spending your own time only to kind of realize that's not a path that you want to go into. Tip number 2, which relates to tip number 1, is whether if you're working as a healthcare assistant, save up a bit of money on the side. Going to university does cost a lot. Luckily in the UK you can kind of apply for bursaries and student loan, so it makes it a lot easier to do a degree. But once you do go to university, if you're living away, you will have to pay for accommodation, and some universities are quite expensive in that, but having a bit of money saved on the side will help a bit. Also, once you do start your clinical rotations, you will have to be traveling, whether that's in your own car, you'll be buying a lot of, or you'll be spending a lot of money on petrol, or public transportation such as the bus or the train. Some people will be fortunate enough to have their locality there, where they're based off quite local to them, whether that's a walking distance, such as myself, which is just right across the road. And other than that, the rest of the areas that I do get assigned is just a walking distance. But having a bit of money will help with everything once you do start your university life. So tip number 3 is, before going to uni, I recommend kind of realizing what your way of learning, whether that's a visual way of learning, whether that's an audio, whether that's something you prefer to do something practical with, but try and find out how you learn. By doing so, it'll help you take in a lot more information at a lot faster time and a lot more effectively, because you know exactly how you study. Going to university, especially within nursing, there's a lot of information that you need to learn really quickly. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, which does relate to tip number 3, is kind of read up on your basic anatomy and physiology. This is something that I know a lot of people do struggle on, especially if they've had no anatomy and physiology experience within biology or applied science or forensic science or any sciences before. So top up yourself on the knowledge of just your basic anatomy. Once you do start your anatomy and physiology class, you won't be so lost. You actually do know what's going on, so you can kind of just top up your knowledge on those classes. Also, this is one of the exams where there's so much to learn in such a short period of time that there are some people who may or may not pass it. But I recommend topping up a bit of your anatomy and physiology, because this is something that you'll be using for the rest of your career if you do decide to do nursing. So tip number 5 is more of a realization of what this course will give you. So first year isn't too bad, just because it's not as stressful, but your socialization skills with your friends or family may change once you actually do your career. With your cohort, with your other student nurses, you can bond greatly, do a lot of activities, go out as much. But for your families as well, friends at home, it may not be the same. Those who aren't doing their nursing career may not actually realize how stressful and how much time you actually have to put in while you're in the career, and that may affect your relationship. So it's always nice to have a bit of communication, making sure that they're alright and updating them on how you're doing, as well as making sure that kind of goes both ways. But once you do start clinical, it's going to be what you're going to be focusing on. You can go here and there, but you're going to be just working. So you need to understand that the 3 years that you do this course will probably be the hardest 3 years you'll do, but it'll be all worth it in the end. So those are my main 5 tips that I recommend before coming into the university to do your nursing degree. Hope you find it a bit helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.